Our guest today is former Navy intelligence officer, former Ukrainian Foreign Legion fighter, say that 3 times, New York Times best-selling author, and our dear friend. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our pleasure to welcome back to the Dangerous Ones, Malcolm Nance. Malcolm, welcome.
Hey, I'm glad to be back on Dangerous Ones because 1, this is an awesome show.
Thank you.
And 2, I'm here to stretch my chops in the commentary world because someone recently read something that I had written, and they said, every time I read your writing, it comes up in the voice of Samuel L. Jackson.
Nice.
And I'm like, am I saying MF too much?
Right.
Is that a thing in 2026?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't think you can. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well,
26. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
12 days or 15 days.
it's already off its meds. Last time you were here, it was August 29th. Well, last time we saw you, you were in D.C. You were with Jolly Good Ginger and other veterans pushing back on the occupation of D.C. Since then, as we said, 2026 has gone off its meds, and we've toppled Maduro in Venezuela. We wanted to get your take on that. Did anything surprise you about what Trump did or how things went?
Well, first off, let's just be honest. This is really 2025 13th inning or something, right? It's just we're in sudden death overtime.
Yeah.
And I really shouldn't have used that phrase, sudden death. I really think that we are still in 2025. Venezuela is a very, very clear indication of how stupid and bad things get all together. First off, these poor people have been out there on ships and submarines and whatever since late August. And then they finally decide to strike in January, and they missed Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's from their family.
Yeah.
So here's what really struck me about that raid and why the aftermath of it is far worse than the actual mission. I evaluated it based on what everybody else saw. And there were some things that struck me as a little unusual. One, the raid, they said, from going into Venezuela, landing at Maduro's residencia, which is a very large armed compound, killing the 32 Cuban guards that were there, and getting him out of a secure room was 28 minutes. Now, very few people can actually go to Burger King and order that fast. Right? And what this gave me an indication, the very fact that we have left in place every person except Maduro and his wife. Every other person is in their job. The Maduro regime, the Chivas, what do they call them? Chivavistas, right? From Chavistas, are still in power. Every one of them. Their little guerrilla street groups, 500,000 armed thugs, are now patrolling the streets and hunting down people who could have collaborated with the United States. Now, granted, the president, the vice president, they say that she's a pragmatist, but she's also a very skilled politician and educated, very well educated. So she knows how to deal with a 5-year-old. And Trump now believes, based on that mission, he can do anything he wants in the Western Hemisphere. But here's what got me a little confused about that mission. The Minister of Defense was not at his home. Over 100 U.S. bombs raining down on the country, and very few people were actually at work. It was not the first, it was the third. So no one had returned home from the holidays. People appear to, have abandoned their air defense systems. And we actually are very good in the intelligence community of buying army leadership. A lot of people don't know this. Prior to the, Operation Iraqi Freedom, the invasion of Iraq, we bought off the top 20 generals. They told everyone to walk home go home. That's why you saw those videos of thousands of men just walking
Right.
away. Those guys got bank. I mean, they're all living in Dubai. They have giant villas.
Jesus.
In fact, one of my neighbors was Baghdad Bob,
Wow.
and his son was my dentist.
Wow.
Get out of town. Are you serious? Wow.
His son-in-law was my dentist in Abu Dhabi, because that guy had been working for us for years.
Oh my God.
So all that stuff about there's not one U.S. soldier in the street was exaggerated. We are good at this, that form of human intelligence, making it look like it's in someone's interest. So if we had notified, what's his name? Vladimir Padrino Lopez, the Minister of Defense, and told him, hey, listen, we're not going to touch you, your family, or the army. Just make sure that there's no one around that compound at around between 2 a.m. midnight and 4 a.m. when we always hit. Normally that residency would have hundreds of armed soldiers. No police were killed in that raid. The police control all the streets leading to that. They didn't respond as helicopters magically flew into the country and landed fast-row people and got him out in there. I suspect that there was a lot of cooperation between the present government and the U.S. government, and that a deal was made, and they made it clear we only want Maduro, and they got Maduro and his wife. That's it.
Right.
And they killed the 32 Cuban bodyguards. My question is, did they actually kill those bodyguards, or was this a package deal where they were already neutralized by the army and he was already made available, and it was just a go in, pick up the package, extract?
Because I heard you say in a clip on Instagram, I think it was from your show, why wasn't he already in like some nuclear bunker already?
Well,
tucked away.
The thing is, you can't believe anything from Donald Trump's mouth.
Yeah.
Right.
And Trump is going, oh, he was going behind a door to a secure facility.
Right.
Really? What kind of bodyguards do you have? 2,000-pound bombs are blowing up all over the city. You can see them. You can hear them. You can practically feel them. And the security did not put him in a secure facility.
Right.
Yeah.
It tells me that there was probably a lot of forethought. You don't know. His chief of staff didn't get killed, right? His butlers didn't get killed. None of the support team there didn't get killed. I mean, how do you get into the White House to one room, right? You got to shoot your way through, but they have many, many more layers. So I'm not saying that they didn't do the mission, right? Delta, the CAG, these guys are very good at what they do. We use advanced technology, but there's usually people there ahead of them, CIA paramilitary teams from the Special Activities Division. The Directorate of Operations just bought everybody. Right? Money for everybody, and that works.
There's our taxpayer dollars.
So, but it works better if he's all ready for us in a
why not?
In a straitjacket, and you go, where's my pallet of gold? And as the forklift is taking it off the helicopter, and you're walking him back up.
Yeah.
Right.
Good deal. What that is a great mission. It isn't, by the way, it is not the greatest raid ever conducted in U.S. history. We've done harder. But on the other hand, it's the aftermath.
Right.
I have been in this situation before where my first thought is the first Battle of Fallujah. When you think that you're going to the donkey market, the burro market, and you think you're going to out-hustle the burro sellers, all right, of South America, or llama sellers, whatever you want to sell, right? You think that you're out there and you're smarter, you're better, and that your bravado and your guns are going to do everything, are going to beat them in their marketplace. I learned this lesson long ago, my first tour in the Middle East. Never try to out-hustle a camel salesman in the camel market, right?
Oh.
These guys, they know right? They'll sell you a camel. That camel will walk home in the middle of the night because you don't know what a hobble is, right? And they'll be like, "No camel here."
No camel. Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
I have been to the Camel Beauty Show in southern UAE, so and rode camels for a week.
Right, right.
So one thing is that there's an environment that is not naturally yours, right? And Donald Trump likes to think that his book that he didn't write, Art of the Deal, applies to the rest of the world. And he's right in some respects that criminal regimes, thugs, and warlords, he understands them and they understand him. However, there is a circumstance where, as Rudyard Kipling said, in an epitaph drear, a fool lies here who tried to hustle the East. Okay, you cannot beat these people at their game. So for you going, we own Venezuela, all the money from these tankers is now going to a secret bank account in fucking Qatar.
Oh my God.
Qatar, not to the U.S. Treasury, in violation of all U.S. laws. He may, in fact, be stealing that money. And they're saying it's as much as $100 million per tanker, which in Donald Trump terms is $1 trillion, right? And so, and the thing is, it's only one tanker. That doesn't have, even in the 6 that we've seized, that is not even literally a drop in a swimming pool of oil, and all that does is depress the price of oil, right? Which means that U.S. oil is not viable to bring out of the ground. The man doesn't understand that. He thinks that it's like Rolexes and stealing, and getting stuff from Tiffany's. It is not as tangible as it looks.
Right.
The people of the leadership of Venezuela know that.
Right.
Right.
Right. They also know I don't notice any U.S. soldiers. So explain to me exactly what you can do to me.
Right.
That you do, which all of this indicated to me as an intelligence professional. That deal was signed months ago.
Okay.
Months ago. Because they had the ability to actually be alert and fight.
Right.
The Chinese were just there hours earlier and gave them the hint that, the United States is coming. So that being said, I have a hard time buying their narrative. And I definitely, those guys hustled us.
Yeah.
Trump really thinks he owns Venezuela.
Well, I'm not surprised.
That fake picture, what did it say? Acting president of Venezuela.
Right.
A bunch of fucking horseshit, man.
And it's just like in Latin America, they're just laughing their asses off. They're like, look at this. Watch this. Acting president of Venezuela. Right?
They're like, what a dick.
Like, we got 93,000 armed soldiers, 500,000 armed militiamen. And guess what's changed?
Nothing. That's right.
Maduro's gone. This is the sort of thing a very clever deputy or his minister of the interior, who was the guy running the death squads, by the way. Still at his job.
Yeah.
Okay. The guy who is running the armed forces, still at his job. The colectivos, these roving political militia bands of Chavez socialists, still on the streets hauling people over. So what exactly happened here?
So yeah, the art of the deal, right? The art of the deal.
Yeah.
So now that we've toppled Maduro, now the negotiating table has shifted to a very different climate. So yesterday, American officials met with Danish officials to talk about Greenland. When we had you on, I think it was even the episode.
Might have been
the earlier one.
Yeah,
you said we were gonna do it. You said. Now here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
So you've been predicting this for a long time, but
well, in fact, when I said it, I said, "Hey, this is a very serious thing. They really mean it when they say they're going for Greenland." Full disclosure, heading to Greenland next week again.
Yeah.
That's right. So tell us what's going on. Yeah.
I didn't see both. Well, when I went last year, I went there because, one, you cannot discuss something without going on the ground and seeing it. And two, what I did was what I was doing in Ukraine just before the Russians invaded. I was doing an intelligence assessment of how will it unfold? How can it happen?
That's right.
And what you got to do is you got to go. I mean, I look at the maps, I look at terrain, topographic terrain, 3D maps means nothing, right? You got to go on the ground. So I said, okay, I'm going to go on the ground. I spent almost 3 weeks, almost a month between Denmark and Greenland, and went to all the major towns, and then took a ferry from the Arctic Circle, just in the first ferry out, right? Which means we were steaming all night through icebergs for 12 hours, hitting them.
My God.
Bunk, bunk,
Oh my God.
on the side of your ship, you're like, okay, that's not good. And, but you get a very good feel for that. The first place I flew into was HIJACK, which is the largest airstrip in Greenland. It's in the middle of summer. That's where all the tourists fly in there because it becomes very green, even though you fly over solid ice on your way in. The country's 2,500 miles long, 3,500 kilometers. So a little bit less than 2,000 some odd miles long. Out of that 3,000 kilometers, 2,000 of it, 80% of that country, is a 1 mile deep sheet of ice.
Jesus Christ. Wow.
All right. So when you see white, it goes down a mile.
Fucking mile.
Holy
Okay. There is literally first ice age ice laying out everywhere.
Wow.
Whoa.
All right. So when I flew in, I was like, okay, this is very Arctic, because I landed in the Arctic. And then, I got a feel for the runway. I saw where the U.S. aircraft, Air Force ski planes that come from Schenectady near me fly to support the Arctic mission. And my first thought was, how the fuck did that pass the Doge cut?
Right.
Because that supports, Station Nord, they call it, which is just 89 degrees north out of 90, right? 90 is the North Pole.
Oh.
They're up there. It's a big domed ice station that's doing the day after tomorrow thing. They're taking ice cores out of the ground and studying climate change. And when I saw that place was still open and the Air Force was flying there, I go, something very deliberate is happening here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to explain what that is in a bit.
Yeah.
So then I realized this runway was capable of fighter aircraft. And I thought, and this was the biggest base we operated in the Cold War, biggest airstrip we operated in the Cold War, not including Patuxent Space Base. Now, then we flew an hour to Nuuk, the capital. Patuxent Space Base from Nuuk. Patuxent's up at 88 about north, right? It is 1,000 miles north of the capital, Nuuk.
Oh my God.
Solid ice. And there ain't jack shit under you but ice. No settlements, nothing.
Wow.
If you're not flying over the ocean, the settlements are like 3 dozen people, 100 people, 500 people are the biggest towns. So there ain't nothing. So you could fly 1 million Marines, right? Let's say the entire Marine Corps could go to Patuxent Space Base and prepare for a big invasion. Then you have to turn around and fly south 1,000 miles to get to the nearest city.
Wow.
Did I say city? Village.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, granted, Nuuk is a town. It's 17,000 people. You could call it a city, but it's a city about where are you guys at? In Portland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Portland.
Yeah. Okay. It's about the size of Bend, Oregon.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
I mean, the whole place. You can see across it.
Right.
And you can walk across it in 20 minutes in any direction. And guess what? There ain't jack shit but frozen water or a snowy mountain ice field that leads to 1,000 miles of nothing.
Wow.
So
Okay.
how do you get in there? So I did the assessment of how you fly. The only way to get to take that country is you got to fly into 3 air bases and seize them. Kajlushwak in the center, Nuuk which is the capital, and then in the south is a place called Narsak. And the biggest town near that, you can't even get from that air base to the biggest town, Katortak, which is nearby there. You take those 3 bases, you got 3 airstrips. But there's no roads in Greenland.
I was going to say, there's no infrastructure to make that happen. Yeah.
You cannot drive from Nuuk to Kajlushwak. You can only go by air.
Okay.
Right? And in World War II, planes were going down left and right all over this place. And to give you an idea of how fast the snows build up, in 1945, a P-38 Lightning belly landed there. The pilot survived. They got the pilot out. And by landing another airplane next to it and putting him in it and then flying off, right?
Right.
80 years later, they went to go find that airplane, right? They're going to, because it's pristine. It was under 40 feet of ice.
Oh my God. Holy shit.
Not getting that back. Yeah.
40 feet of ice. So every 2 years, a foot of ice grew on it.
Right.
I mean, just drifted over it. And so that's your operating environment.
Right.
Have you guys ever seen that old Clint Eastwood movie called The Eiger Sanction?
Yeah.
It's where he's a mountain climber, famous mountain climber. I climb mountains. I was a mountaineer. And, you know, he's got a great line in it. Where they're like, yeah, we want you to go find this guy we suspect is working with the Russians and kill him. And he goes, well, where are we going? He goes, well, you're going to do it on a climbing trip. He goes, what's the climb? He goes, the Eiger. He goes, I don't have to do anything. The mountain's going to do it for me. And it does. The mountain kills 3 out of 4 of these guys.
I would imagine.
And that's Greenland.
Plus,
I don't have to do nothing. Okay.
Well, real quick, last time you were on the show, you even said coming by water, I believe, was not good either because it was all jagged. It was fjord. It was just terrible. There's just so you're saying by air and by water, both bad.
Right now, the only way to get in there is by air, and there's only 3 airstrips you can go to.
Yeah. And
funny you should mention it. After my trip, while I was there, I did a show called The Liepert Report. It's Denmark's version of 60 Minutes. Oh. And every Dane is savvy. They are just political. They eat up politics. Oh. Every person in Denmark watches The Liepert Report. It's a cross between 60 Minutes and Rachel Maddow.
Okay. Right? Okay.
They had me on for 30 minutes, right? Interviewing me, asking about how Greenland would be invaded, what U.S. intelligence was looking for. And then they asked me, what would my recommendations be? And I said, take J.D. Vance at his word. They say that you're not doing anything for the defense of Greenland. Okay. Move 1,000 soldiers in there, right? Move the Danish Marine Corps to Greenland and put them on all those big air bases, right, with all their weapons, and then they can't say you're not defending it. I go, and send some warships. They've got 3 fisheries corvettes. Now they're capable. They have helicopter pads, machine guns, and 76 millimeter cannons on these ships. But I said, send a frigate with anti-air, anti-ship, anti-submarine capability to defend these harbors. And I said, and then deploy some F-16s to Kajlushwak, right? Show them that you're willing to take air defense seriously. Now, you know what I was doing, right? I was telling them, if you do this, they can't invade.
They can't do it. Right.
Right. Because it's a deterrent. First off, it's this. Here's one of the things I said 3 times in that show. This is the stupidest story I have ever had to do. 3 times. I kept going, as an intelligence professional, this is just stupid. Right? And so they were like, 30 days after that show, and another guy named Jacob Carlsbo, who's a Danish intelligence guy who was doing the same shtick. He and I were coordinating. 30 days later, they put 100 troops into Nuuk. They put helicopters into Nuuk. They put 3 F-16s into Kajlushwak. They sent an armed frigate to be assigned to Nuuk now. And apparently Trump only heard that they were supplementing these teams called the Sirius Patrols. The Sirius Patrols are dog sled teams that are in the furthest north. And they patrol this area, this Arctic National Wildlife Preserve. Now, let me tell you something about these guys, okay? The Sirius Patrol is technically a selection tool for Danish special forces. Okay. You get a dog sled, you get a team of dogs, you get 3 months provisions, and you have to go out to a hut on that dog sled, put your provisions there, and then do these patrols checking on the polar bear population, illegal fisheries, all this thing. It's hardcore, and it's like 6 teams at a time of 2 guys. Give you an idea how badass you have to be. The King of Denmark qualified for the Sirius Patrol.
Wow.
Because you got to qualify. They're not like, oh, you're the king. You can just jump on our fucking dog sled. Then this guy spent 6 months in the 89 degrees north. Right? If he misses a turn, he's going to the North Pole.
Right.
Not joking.
Right. There's no trees. There's no. Yeah, I get you. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah.
And he did that program. Then he was allowed and qualified to be a Danish Navy SEAL.
Wow.
This is the King of Denmark.
Tougher men than I. That's for sure.
He's a badass. He's got halo jump wings on when he wears his crown and shit.
Trump could never.
So Trump focused on the fact that Denmark needed more. They were going to increase their presence up there. So they added 2 more dog sleds. But he fucking ignored the 3 F-16s that will now intercept and could shoot an intruding aircraft down, or provide strike capability against ships or something. It's not a lot, but it's better than prior to that interview. There were 40 temporary duty Danish cops providing police presence around Denmark. That's it.
Whoa.
And they only have pistols. The rifles that they have are for caribou and polar bears. They don't have like M16s and shit.
So they're game guns,
Yeah, game guns. Yeah, but there's 35,000 out of a population of 57,000 have high caliber game guns, and they know how to shoot them too.
Well, really quick. Well, you're going there next week, right? What is your what is your objective when you go to Greenland next week?
I'm going back for part 2 to 1 because I'm going with a whole team of journalists. I'm the only journalist that spent any time in Greenland. I went all over the country. The only place I didn't get to was the far northwest and the east, because those settlements are tiny. But I've got 1 airstrip that I have to see in the south, because now that Nuuk has an increased military presence, it's more than likely they would go and take this airstrip in the south called Narsak. And from there, they could land C-17s with hundreds of troops, helicopters, and then launch an invasion force out to the other villages. And this time of year, all the Arctic ice is solid. There's no getting up there, which is why Trump made a very revealing statement a couple of weeks ago, or about 10 days ago, where he said, oh, Greenland, we're going to be talking about that in about 20 days. Right?
Okay.
Why would he say 20?
Did he say 20 days or 20 days? He said 20 days. And I said, that is going to be a presidential working group where he's going to issue a finding. And the finding is going to be, get me Greenland. And supposedly Marco Rubio was supposed to have met with the foreign minister to offer him a cash offer,
right,
to buy Greenland. And Trump's a chicken shit. So it would be some cheesy number like, here's $50 billion, you know, what we loaned Argentina.
Right.
The thing is worth trillions.
Right.
Yeah.
But everything, this is where mental illness comes into this. Everything's under a mile deep sheet of ice. There's a reason that in the Cold War, when money was unlimited, they built an underground city with a nuclear power plant and abandoned it. Okay?
Right.
Which, by the way, it's under like 300 feet of additional ice.
Oh my God!
They can't even get to the site anymore.
What a ding dong! Jesus Christ!
NASA had to use a space-based radar to identify where it was.
Wow!
Right?
Dang.
So Trump thinks, oh, minerals, I can have this island. I shit you not, I think he thinks it's Iceland. So, you know, and so
that makes sense.
But here's where the genesis of all this craziness was. You need to do a show about this someday.
Tell us.
Right?
Do it. Yeah.
The Tech Bros philosophy of the TechNet of America. Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen, David Sachs, and Elon Musk have been funding this thing called the Praxis Cities. And they're supposed to be these new network cities that they will build in remote places like Honduras. Does that sound familiar? And Greenland, they had been wanting to buy a place near this town I'm going to first, Katortuk in the south. Only way in is cruise ships and seasonal airplanes. And they wanted to build this like new version of Silicon Valley where everybody, you know, dresses like fucking Spock when he's at home in leisure, right? And these white cotton shirts, and their houses are networked and everything's AI driven, and they have these city-sized data centers.
Okay.
What do you need to drive data centers? Two things. Water, fresh water, ice cold fresh water, and power. You can get power from hydroelectric, by melting the ice cap, right, whatever it is. But these people just don't believe me, all right? Crazy shit you got to see for yourself. Just type in the word Praxis, Praxis. Praxis Cities, and you will see some shit. They got this. You guys remember that 1936 film, Metropolis? The German
I've heard of it, but I don't think I've seen it.
The robot chick in there, the hot robot chick, and it has all these towering buildings. That's what Praxis Greenland, their concept buildings are supposed to look like. And it's supposed to be for tech bros only. It's not allowed, right? We're going to just incel heaven where all you can do is you can play Call of Duty, all right? And you can buy your Elon Musk, you know, female Japanese robot companion, and you can live in a networked, no democratic government, CEO, ruler, poobah of Techland.
So it's like a 4th grade fort. It's a treehouse.
Fucking pillow fort for fucking incel nerds.
All right.
But they want Greenland. And the guy who's been pushing it the hardest was Steve Miller.
Right.
Because he's right after Venezuela, the first words out of his mouth, Greenland's next.
Yeah.
His wife tweeted that picture of Greenland with the U.S. flag that said soon. Now, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Baby Goebbels are, you know, we're sitting over the dining room table thinking about enslaving 57,000 people and stealing their land. And then they got into a clash because the next day, Marco Rubio got to Trump. Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham, and had convinced Trump it should be Cuba is the next big push.
Okay.
And so now you've got the tech bros. Now, what I suspect is Stephen Miller has convinced Trump that they can do both on the same day.
Okay.
That they can send in. But the only way you're getting Greenland is you got to send in a special operations civil airliner with a bunch of Rangers and the airliner with no markings called the C-32B Gatekeeper. And you make an emergency landing at 2 a.m. and out come 100 armed troops and they storm and raise the American flag. Now there's going to be a fight because they got army there now. And now this exercise that they announced, that out of nowhere, this exercise didn't exist a week ago. It got announced the next day. 30 leadership guys are going to Arctic Command, and now 12 French, some German. They are setting up a command post for French mountain troops. What does they say? Finns, Swedes, Norwegians, British, and Danes. All the Arctic armies are suddenly, and the French mountain troops are suddenly going to be in Greenland by the hundreds, which is another way of saying, oh, we're going to be running this exercise like forever.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't invade while NATO forces are here.
Right. Real quick, you brought up something I was literally just going to ask you. Let's assume they invade and they go in, America goes in or tries to go in. What happens to NATO? We've heard them talk about how it. I mean, does it?
And would he attack Denmark to steal Greenland?
Well, first off, attacking Greenland is Denmark.
Right.
Denmark.
Right.
It's like attacking Puerto Rico.
Right.
All right. I mean, they're American citizens.
It's already American.
All those people are Danes.
Yeah.
They have Danish passports. Right. They're a territory which can have a referendum for independence, but they're Danish.
Right.
Everything's Danish. The supermarkets, everything. It's been Danish since 968.
Just a little while.
My favorite line out of this whole stupid story is Trump going, you land there with a boat 500 years ago and you think it's yours.
I saw that. Yeah.
It's like, bitch, Mayflower. Right. You know that motherfucker's never heard of the Mayflower.
Yeah.
Because his mom came here as an illegal immigrant.
Right.
In the 1930s.
Right.
So he's never heard of Mayflower. So he doesn't, Native Indians are like, what did you say there, white man?
Yeah.
How do you think you got here?
So does NATO...
So the question on the table is what happens to NATO? It's simple. Here is what will happen. If there's a penumbra, I'm writing a Substack right now. I've already written part 1. It's called 3 Scenarios for the Invasion of Greenland. And part 2 is 10 Consequences.
Love it.
Consequences ain't funny. And I wrote, it's bad, real bad. For us individually, all of you will suffer. Because if Denmark gets some intelligence indicators like half the guys at the CIA start dropping dimes, right? Like pallets, like the war plans fall in front of the Danish, fall in front of the Danish embassy, and they're like, hey, we got 30 copies of this, right? So the Danes will invoke NATO Article 4, and that is they want nationwide, all 32 nations must meet in Brussels, usually at the defense minister or the foreign minister level, and they need to explain what the fuck is going on.
Right.
And that's invoked when there's going to be a crisis between 2 members of NATO.
Okay.
I suspect that if this is really in Trump's head and he is suffering from dementia, it's to him, it's a bauble. It's something you steal. You take from people. Okay. And now because he thinks special operations is like can't be touched, right? He's just going to do it. So if that happens, if we wake up and there's going to be warning, because you can't tell me that there's not going to be guys like, Mom, I'm drawing Arctic cold weather gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to Denmark, I told the Danes, you're going to have 8 hours or more warning, right? NATO officers who serve with the Danes would be like, yeah, I'd be getting to Greenland if I were you. So that happens. Denmark can wait for it, right? And if it happens, if there's what we call a fait accompli attack, where we go there and we do what I said, they seize those 3 airfields, you got to resupply that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let me tell you something. 2 hours at flying at maximum power with drop tanks and the ability to refuel in Iceland, right? Denmark, Norway, and Sweden can put fighter air patrols up there to intercept U.S. forces, whereas the closest we're going to be able to fly from is like a National Guard base in Maine. And guess what? The Canadians will not let us use their
for sure.
airspace.
Right.
So instead of going up like this, flying 4 hours, you got to go like this. You're going to fly east into the Atlantic, up the Canadian air defense zone, and up to Greenland. Now, who can sustain that? Are we going to go into dogfights with Denmark? Yeah, I think if we invade, we're going to kill people. And we fully intend for those people that we are now in the U.S.-Denmark war, or the U.S., I call it the United States-NATO war. Because here's who will, United States probably, if you want to see how it's going to unfold, watch the movie Tora, Tora, Tora. To way the Japanese were sending a diplomatic message to the United States that had 13 parts, and we were breaking them by the code 1 hour in advance.
Yep.
And by the time part 13 got there, the head of naval intelligence was like, I know what part 14 says. Right?
Yeah.
Part 14, they're saying deliver part 14 at this time, right? And destroy your code breaking machine. Right? In my world, we call that's an oh shit moment, right? They're coming, y'all. So Denmark's going to get that warning. But here's what's probably going to happen. As we're flying up there, or as the troops are landing or parachuting, Trump will declare that the United States is withdrawing from NATO and is invoking NATO Article 13. The withdrawal from NATO.
Yeah.
That way, he can say, well, it wasn't NATO. Now, it would have to be Denmark would have to invoke Article 5. Technically, Article 5 is automatic, right? When we got hit on 9/11, the United States did not invoke Article 5. NATO invoked Article 5. Right? The United States was attacked. This was an attack on all of us.
That makes sense.
So that will be, here's who will not take part in this. Hungary, because they're a bunch of pussies with Orban. Slovakia, which is just recently elected an anti-Ukraine, anti-NATO, and pro-Russia president. Serbia, which has always been pro-Russia, right? That's probably 3 nations that will walk with Trump and in coordination with Trump. I got some news for you, though. That leaves 27 NATO nations with all their weapons.
Right.
The only question is who will go neutral. It won't be Britain. Britain has already said if the United States does something, they will not be allowed to use British bases, British personnel, British resources to support their mission, which means right away, first thing that happens, they go over to RAF Flying Dales and they click off the strategic ballistic missile warning center that the British are operating, because it also sees airplanes. Right?
Okay.
Here's another consequence. So Patufic Space Base wasn't good enough for us, right? That base looks for the radar signatures of Russian ballistic missiles. We can always see the heat thermal plume from space, but we can't confirm it until there's a radar return.
Okay.
That's what Patufic is. 150 Space Force guys. I know the guy's name who runs the power plant and the heating at that place is a Dane named Lars.
Of course he is.
If Lars doesn't come to work with the Danish and Inuit staff, they lose power, which includes heat, water, all life support. And did I mention they're at 89 degrees north? Right. They are fucking this far from the North Pole.
Jesus Christ.
So, and did I also mention all food and fuel is brought to that base by Canada.
Oh,
God.
So we will wake up in technically the first U.S. versus NATO war.
Right.
Now, people go, oh, we're America. We got all the power in the world. No, we don't. NATO. Now, I got to tell you, it's a pretty fair trade if NATO picks up Ukraine and drops us, right? NATO, just, I cannot get this across MAGA's head. Geography, distance, space, and time. Okay, apply to everything we do. Europe is closer to Greenland than we are. Now, you may say, oh, no, we can get up from the south. Yeah, but Canada will close its airspace immediately. Why? They are a member of NATO.
NATO.
And they would have to treat the attack on Greenland as an attack on Canada.
Right.
Now, I've seen Mark Carney. I don't believe for a minute. Now, what he'll do is he'll say to the United States, we are not going to attack you unless you cross into our airspace, unless you attack us. But right now, Canada airspace is closed to you. All Canadian-U.S. borders are closed. Alaska, isolated. Every truck, anyone who is in Canada is going to have to depart now at a U.S. border crossing, right? On foot.
Jesus
or
Christ.
on vehicle, right? All trade between Canada and the United States is off, right?
Wow.
Which, did I mention that? Now, I'm in upstate New York. My power bill went up 30% this year.
Whoa.
Because we're on the Canadian grid. And Trump tariff stuff, and they put on reciprocal tariffs.
Oh, my
Okay?
Jesus Christ.
Now, I want you to imagine all of that Canadian lovely hydroelectric power for Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York State, and Vermont and Maine turning off like a light switch.
Oh, shit.
Jesus.
Which has now, you'll say, oh my God, it'll suck to be in New York. No, it'll suck to be in Texas because that power dominoes down throughout the entire U.S. power grid. So New York State may be able to keep the lights on here at National Grid, but they may shut off all transmission of power further down the line into the red state. So that's just Canada. Pacific Space Base, depending on whether there's Lars and definitely all the Inuits and the Danes will walk off that site. Right?
Good
and
Lord.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody throws a penny in the generator.
Right. Yeah.
And suddenly that base loses power.
Right.
That means all radar signatures towards Russia go away, which is supposedly the strategic goal purpose of that base. Canada stops reporting all air defense from their chain of radars along the Canadian north to the United States and reorients them south to determine if the United States is going to be invading Canada with air power, which could happen. Trump may say, we're going to fly through your airspace, fuck you. Now we may have a circumstance where Canada may have to defend its sovereign territory. Air battles over fucking Halifax.
Oh, my God.
Now, of course, they'll lose, but that doesn't mean that they can't do what we call sandbushes, put surface-to-air missiles in places that you wouldn't expect them, or just stupid shit, or use their Navy to haul over U.S. ships. That being said, if I were Europe, the next thing is absolutely going to happen, and I'm going to leave it at that because it gets worse from there. Number one shipping company in the world is called Maersk Shipping, Container Shipping Company, MSC. Maersk is Danish.
Oh, shit.
I've been to their headquarters in Copenhagen, right? All of U.S. government shipping that is not done by Military Sea Lift Command, of which there are only like 20 or 30 ships, is done by contract with Maersk. that shit'll turn off like a light switch.
Oh, man.
They'll be like, fuck you. You get nothing.
Oh, my
right?
God.
Right.
Here's another thing. We have 100,000 U.S. service members in Europe. Okay?
Right.
U.S. bases, U.S. equipment, their families.
Right.
Every one of them, of the service members, will become prisoners of war.
Oh, shit. Wow.
Because those bases, because of NATO
Right.
Article 5, those bases don't belong to the United States. They are leased from one NATO member to another NATO.
I did not know that. Wow.
And
Apparently neither does Trump.
if you leave NATO, they're nullified.
Yeah.
If you attack another NATO country, they're nullified. Those bases will be surrounded by the German army, the Danish, whichever country, the Poles or whatever. And they'll probably say, hey, listen, we're just going to keep you shelter in place, but you cannot carry out any military operations off of our land.
Yeah,
and
right.
we'll negotiate your return by civil airliner, strip down out of your uniforms, get into civilian clothes. We're going to process you. We'll ship your ass off to Egypt or someplace neutral, and they can route you to the United States, because the next thing that's going to happen, the first day, is all air travel between the United States and Europe will shut off.
Right.
Yep.
Because you're now an enemy power.
Jesus Christ. It's a no-win, dude. There's no winning this,
Fuck your Paris vacations, right? Screw your Scottish whiskey tours. Done because we are in hostilities now.
Right.
And I have these guys who are like, yeah, we got aircraft carriers. We can get over there. We've had exercises where the Swedish sank our carrier with submarines.
Okay.
They got submarines. And other guys are like, well, we got nukes. They've got 515 nukes. No one's going there. But here's what you have just decided. The United States is now the United States minus Alaska, because everything that goes to Alaska will now have to go by air or ship. No roads.
Right.
No roads.
Wow.
Right? Suddenly
God.
everything Canada cuts off its seas to you, and things will get really, really bad. So, did I mention they hold $2.3 trillion in U.S. bonds?
Shit.
Which they will liquidate. I've heard people say, well, how are they going to get their money back from the bond? The way it works is it's automated. They liquidate a bond. It is an automatic transfer from the U.S. Treasury to get their money back. So I want you to see $2.3 trillion of debt simultaneously gets called, right? It's a call, right? Like when you're playing poker. And then everybody else in the world is like, oh shit, Europe's bailing on their fucking U.S. treasuries. We're out, or it's going to collapse. They won't be able to pay us.
Yep.
A cascade.
Right.
The entire U.S. economy will collapse overnight.
So basically, everything that you've said from the last 25 minutes is Putin's wet dream.
If Vladimir Putin had an actual trained KGB agent to become president, he could not do what Donald Trump has done.
Yeah.
Because he'd be thoughtful.
Right.
Right.
And one last thing.
Yeah.
Ozempic, most of our insulin, all the GLP-1s and Botox come from Denmark.
Right. That's right.
Somebody said, no, Eli Lilly has a contract, has factories for insulin in Ohio. Yeah, on lease. There's one factory that's making it. So now type 1 diabetics start dying all over the country.
Jeez.
Right? So did I mention this is day one?
Right.
It makes you realize how isolated we're becoming in the world. But then when all this shit pops off and all we have is here, let's pivot to what's going on here in the streets today with ICE and all of these murders and the roundups with who are these ICE agents? I'm hearing stories of like regularized classic immigration officers are like, we don't know who the fuck these people are. We don't know what they're doing.
I learned something new this week that I really wish I hadn't learned.
Oh shit, that's
training.
Scary.
Do you know how long their training is? 47 days in honor of Donald Trump.
Oh, for the love of fuck. Are you serious?
A badge and a gun in
47
days.
Their training is supposed to be 12 weeks. Okay? So it's like 6 weeks or something like that.
Oh my God.
But when you see what's
much longer.
When you see what's going on out there, I mean my feed is just full of, because I watch that stuff, but because for the job I do, but like when you see that stuff, man, I mean, you're going like, we're getting taken over. I mean, we live in Portland, Oregon, you know.
We have a state secret police. We have, which, by the way, in German, the original German is Geheimstaatspolizei, state secret police. The acronym was Gestapo.
Yeah.
And that's what we have. We have a Gestapo, and I'm saying that professionally.
Yeah.
There is no domestic terrorism happening here. These people are an armed secret police. And everybody, can I make some recommendations here
Please.
real quick? If you're going to buy a whistle for ICE, don't buy those little 2D2 whistles. Get the one with the little ball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Metal ones.
Blow hard. And don't forget, all right, leaf blowers and glitter are the herpes of
Love
arts and
that.
crafts.
Yeah.
Glitter bombs are my favorite.
Get out of your body armor.
Yeah.
Get out of your hair. You look and you go home and they think that you've been hanging with, Kimberly on stage one.
Right. It's a double-edged
Have those
sword.
ICE agents explain that. No, the liberals were blowing glitter on me.
Oh, that's cute that you think that they go home to women.
Well, listen, we want to send all of I know that Danger Corps wants to send all of our love and prayers with you when you go to Greenland and for safe travels. But I want to say something really quick before we go. And by the way, every time I woke up this morning and I got a text from Nick saying he's booked, he's coming on today. And I told Tiffany, this is true. I said, I live vicariously through Malcolm Nance's adventures. Like, I'm just tired getting up, going to my living room. This guy's flying all over Greenland. But I want to say this really quick. Most of the Danger Corps might not realize this, but this is true. But at the end of our show, we always say, be safe, get into good trouble, and remember we are all the dangerous ones. But we added a line since August. We added a line now. Every single night we say, be safe, get into good trouble, get into fun trouble, and remember we are all the dangerous ones. And I don't think the Danger Corps realizes that actually originated from Malcolm Nance.
Yep. That's correct.
Because you told us you were in, when you were in D.C., that you guys say, no, we call it fun trouble here in D.C., and that has stuck with us and changed how we end the show every night. And we want to thank you for that.
Costumes and glitter.
That's right.
Well, we can't.
Costumes. That's fun trouble, baby.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Well,
hey,
can't
one
thank you enough.
last thing,
Please.
if you guys could. I have a fundraiser on GoFundMe. It's Greenland Invasion Part 2.
Okay.
If you'd like to support this mission, by the way, Greenland is just one of the most expensive places on this planet.
Wow.
All right, yeah. So,
Understandably.
And now every journalist in the world is in Nook, so the rooms are like $350 a night or something.
Oh my God! Right.
For a plank bed with a shared bathroom.
Jesus Christ!
Are you in Portland? No.
Tourists come on tourist passenger liners. They don't fly in, right?
Right.
So if you want to help out on this mission, I am giving gifts.
Gifts. We like gifts.
The top donors can either have a muskox.
Hell
Yeah, I'm donating.
Cute caribou.
I
love it. Here's a cute caribou. And,
I want the caribou now.
I love it.
Cute. And I got these from Greenland, so I will be bringing for people who are the top donors. I will be sending gifts to them.
Nice.
And I really appreciate any help that you can give. And also, by the way, 90% of it goes to the local economy. Other than my flight from going from New York to Copenhagen is very inexpensive, but the legs from Copenhagen to Greenland, and
I can imagine.
there is very, very expensive, especially in winter. We are in deep winter there, where temperatures get sometimes 20 below zero. So it's very nice now. It's 25 degrees. That's the high.
Balmy.
Well, we're here to help you with that. We will put the link in the description. We encourage all of the Danger Corps members to take part and help out this trip, because this is important. And there has been no better guest on the Dangerous Ones than Malcolm Nance, and I mean that
hands
sincerely.
down. Yep.
Thank you so much, and we promise you, we will not let it be as long before you're on next time. Thank you so much.
When I come back, I'll give you a debrief.
You got
I can't wait.
Perfect.
Thanks,
Thank
Chief.
you so much. Bye-bye.
All right, guys.
All right.